tonight is the Rangers Journal Night.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Robert Harron, and you have your Rangers news for today, the 13th of September, on Friday afternoon. With me today, we have Billy. Billy, afternoon, mate. How are we today?
I'm okay, mate. It's Friday the 13th, isn't it? So we're expecting some bad news with the press conference, weren't we?
Yeah, it wasn't to be unexpected, put it that way. So yeah, we obviously delayed this just a wee bit. Just there wasn't a lot having just come back off the back of the international break, so we wanted to kind of get through the presser today from the manager, and I believe it was Nadeem. I'm going to say Bayrami. I think that was the way
It is. We had
the guys.
had a foreign journalist confirm that for us.
So Mr. Bayrami was up today for the presser, so that we'll obviously touch on that. So I might as well just kick things off for that. Billy, I think it's the YouTube feed will hopefully be updated shortly with the videos, but from the Twitter feed there was a couple of interesting releases from the Rangers Twitter feed. So don't know if you want to kick things off just with the first piece of information we got today from the manager's press conference.
What I'm going to do is, before we go into that, actually, Bob, Doug said afternoon, Doug. Doug, I put in the chat to join us if anybody could. You're sitting watching us, you could have joined in with this one. But anyway, yeah, the first piece of information was that during the international break, Clement's been able to work with the team. He said it was good to do that. And had also had a friendly against Motherwell, which I believe we won. I don't know for definite. I've seen rumours of a 4-1 scoreline. Again, closed door game, friendly, not a big deal, but it seems like he has had a chance to work with the players for this, for the most part. The ones obviously that were away are only just back in training today, so it was good to get that.
Yeah, no, I think it's always good to hear that, Billy, that the players that are maybe short on game time or just come back from injury, at least get some form of say competitive action. So again, if it was a 4-1 win against Motherwell, that's obviously a good result to hear. And I believe Cortez had maybe played some minutes in that. I think there was something going around that maybe he scored. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, it's obviously good that people are getting minutes in the legs, and I hope that reflects positively for Sunday's game. So yeah, I think it's interesting. Obviously, the manager's comments. It's you look at it and go, does that mean that we're going to see a better style of play? I know we've discussed it on here before, and I'm sure it's it's definitely been one of the topics within the group chat that we're still trying to understand or see the style of play for the manager. So maybe just off the off the back of that, do you think having had some time over the last week or two with the squad, we'll maybe see a bit more fluency going forward?
I'm hoping so, but the manager does mention later on in his press conference that the amount of players that have went out, I think it's 16 he said, and 10, 11 come in. It's not going to be an overnight, instantly start working. My concern has been for the last wee while that I don't really know what the manager's style is. So if he's getting to work with the players for this extended, I mean, I don't know what they were doing over, the summer, because again, it's not like we've seen this Clement style of play that we're longing to see something. There's been flashes of it. We've talked about it, and especially in the Ross County game, it looked like we were coming on to something, but again, it goes out the window with the Old Firm game after 10 minutes. So yeah, I'm hoping to see something on Sunday that they've been working on signs that the team are growing in confidence with each other. So that's where I'm at the moment with that. Just on your Cortez point, yeah, the manager does say that Cortez played 60 minutes. Doesn't mention if he scored, mind you. And also that Egeman has got more minutes too, but he doesn't mention how long he's played for. So that's good. I would like to see these players integrated into the first team as soon as possible.
Yeah, same. I was on the members' content yesterday for the Egeman discussion, which was obviously a good one. And if you've not seen it, please go and check out the YouTube page. I think it's now up for free, but if you're a member, then obviously you get that content a wee bit sooner. So again, obviously just a plug for that, to go ahead and catch that up if you've not already seen it. So yeah, I mean, for me, Egan hopefully starts to be integrated far quicker, far more into the first team after that kind of cameo at Parkhead. So, definitely agree, Billy. I think it's good that he got some more game time, and then hopefully he's, if he doesn't start on Sunday, then hopefully he's on the bench again, and maybe gets more than 10 minutes. I'd like to see him get at least half an hour just to let us see more of what he's like and what he can hopefully bring to the team. I know there was mentioning, I think obviously we just touched on it before, in the press conference, he obviously gave us an update on Danilo and how it was a slight difference in what had been published before, with a kind of operation to kind of clean up his knee, which was what was, I say released after the Celtic game, but it now looks as if, I think just reading here, it was an unlucky when he slipped in a sprint. Thankfully, it's not a cruciate ligament, but he's going to be out for at least 4 weeks. But he does say that the work that Danilo had done previous to strengthen his knee helped prevent a more serious injury. So again, it's a bit disappointing to hear that Danilo's going to be out with yet another injury. The boy just doesn't seem to have the luck when it comes to playing for us. Don't know if you want to give your kind of immediate thoughts on what Clement gave us. And
immediate thoughts are just as you're saying. It's how, I mean, we've had a few players that have been like this. Like Cortez obviously didn't last very long this season before getting injured, and Danilo again. It's actually more worrying for me that it's a different injury. If it was just this cleanup that was reported a few weeks ago, you can kind of understand that operations do need, to go back on them and clear things up. But for him to have another different injury that's going to mean that he's out for a month, can we hang any hope on him, overtaking Cyril Dessers as a starting number 9? I don't think it's going to work out for him at this stage. But I'm maybe being a bit negative for just hearing this news today. But he's not the only one, because we're obviously Ridvan's still out, and Matondo's still out. But the good news, I guess, from Ridvan is that he's back doing individual work outside of the training group, according to the manager. So that's bright news. It's not exactly
somewhat positive.
It doesn't sound like he's going to be back next week, but it's something positive. But yeah, really annoying. How often does this happen to other clubs, that a player after player just get continually injured with new things before they come back? I mean, it's Jordan Rossiter all over again with Danilo, isn't it?
It's crazy, Billy. I think I touched on it either last week or one of the previous pods. He comes across as such a nice guy, Danilo, and again, you want him to do well because of the price tag and the quality that we've kind of seen from him. When he first arrived, he seems like he is obviously a good player, decent player. He just hasn't had the luck when it's come to injuries. The fact that he's smashed his cheekbone and he's had this knee injury, it kept him out pretty much all year. You're just, the fact that he's then come back and he's now had another injury, you just think to yourself, even from a business point of view, it's going to be extremely difficult to move him on for anything like the money that we paid for him to begin with. That, is he, again, just as you said, the history and the lengthy list that we have of players that have come in with such promise that have caught one injury or another, and it's just ended up not working out for them, and we've had to either rip up the contract or let them go for free, or we've just basically put them out on loan until at such point either want to rip their contract up or they buy themselves out. So it's, I do hope that the optimist in me does hope that he can come back and stake a claim for the first team. But I now think, again, just as we were saying there, I think you look at it and go, Eganman's probably the second striker now. He's a backup to Dessers. But that's the only other option we've got. There's no one really in the B team that has come to the fore or that we've really been told about to this point that's potentially pushing to become part of that first team squad. So yeah, just a bit disappointing that he's had another problem and another 4 weeks, which then will take him up to what I think is at the next international breaks towards the end of October or something like that. So again, it might not be seen until potentially near a Christmas, which again doesn't bode well considering the condition of some of the pitches in Scotland won't be the best for him to return to, shall we say.
If I
yeah.
can just pick up on something you said, Bob,
Yeah.
at the beginning there, you said that he's a nice guy. Well, second place teams are full of nice guys, and we've got too many nice guys, I feel, at the moment. Cyril Dessa's a lovely guy. Danilo seems a lovely guy. We need some real, I don't know if arrogance is the right word. I don't want to also swear on the podcast either, but we need someone with a bit more grit than this. Not to say that they get injured because they're nice guys, and that Dessers obviously doesn't get injured, thankfully. But it's just really frustrating, and I know I've said that already, but to get more, I mean, if it's as you say, he doesn't get back in the team till Christmas time. How are we going to survive another best part of 6 months with only one striker? And that's not saying Iggyman's not going to come in and do the business, but we've had Cyril Dessers now for a season, and now into the second season where he's their only option up front, and even the best teams need to have a different option in the centre forward position. That's why we have a couple of these different. Iggyman's different again.
Yeah.
Danilo's meant to be a different type of player. We need more options because it just leaves us so one-dimensional, which has been, I think, a problem with the end of the last season.
Yeah, and again, I think touching on that, it really doesn't allow a change of formation. Again, I know I kind of touched on this again yesterday. Was with Dessers, he only looks as if he can play that one position. You wouldn't see him going out and playing on the left or playing on the right. He's definitely that central striker, and Iggyman hopefully provides us with a bit more versatility, because even from the footage it's online, and even from that brief cameo at Parkhead, he looks as if he likes coming in off the left, and he's physical, maybe a bit more physical than Dessers is, bit more of an attitude. Again, just touched on yesterday, has he got the kind of similar presence and characteristics of a certain Colombian striker that's no longer with the club? But yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's a worry that if Dessers gets injured, you're going to put somebody who's 2021, going to be 22, I think, start November. He's relatively young, inexperienced, new to the country, new to the league. You're then really pinning, the support are then going to pin their hopes on this guy, which puts a massive expectation on him to deliver every game at such a young age. And again, we both know that'll either help him rise to another level and take that on, or he's going to crumble. And it's not fair. The injury for Danilo just takes away that option of having the rotation and keeping everybody on their toes, rather than just being like, Dessers is the main guy and Iggyman is the backup. If something happens to Dessers, then it's going to be Iggyman. So yeah, a bit of a concern, but again, we can only hope it's a speedy recovery for him when he comes back and gets a run of games and hits a bit of form for us, that we can actually get to see the real Danilo, not just the short stint that we had when he was the man in the mask.
Well, the next bit that the manager goes on to is to mention that he doesn't say this specifically, but he mentions the frustration of not being in the stadium, and it's good news that we're going to be going back to it. And we already knew that, Bob, but there was announced this week that the front of the Copeland's going to be open for the Dundee game. I guess that opens up more tickets to fans. I don't know if it would have been a sellout anyway, but if we could get that full as well, it'd be a great first game back.
Yeah, I mean, it was slightly frustrating, Billy, because again, the ticket release was, well, for myself, who is a mem, I'm in the Copeland front. It wasn't made clear to me yesterday, so I went online at just after 5 to be able to go and purchase my ticket, and I've ended up picking a seat in the Sandy Jardine stand. But then realised or seen late on last night, early this morning, the Copeland front would be opened.
Mm-hmm.
But when I tried to click on the ticket yesterday within the ticketing part of the website, it wouldn't allow me to pick my ticket, like the actual season ticket, where I should be sitting. So It was a bit of frustration, and I don't know if that's just because I went on at like 5:10 and it was still still working out the bugs. I don't know, but
No, I
definitely,
actually went and purchased your seats, mate, just to spite you. So sorry
thanks,
about that.
thanks. Thanks.
No. I was
We-
wondering. You think they'd automatically give you the option to purchase your seat, though, wouldn't they?
Yeah. I mean, it was where it said purchase your reserve seat, and I'm like, so have I got a reserve seat because I'm in the Copeland, and they weren't at that point? I didn't realise they were going to open the Copeland front. So yeah, bit of a strange one. But again, I definitely agree with what you're saying, Billy. I think it'll be again another positive step forward to get that part of the stand opened. Hopefully, the season ticket holders that are able to go and can pay the additional money for the cup game, then just add to the atmosphere of having four sides of the stadium with support in it rather than three. Especially behind the goals. I know usually the behind the goals is quite a quite a good area, and again that leads to the maybe just as a side point, whether or not the Union Bears will be going in behind the Copeland, considering if that's where they were due to be moved to, if that's where they're going to be seated, as was originally kind of thought or scheduled. So yeah, it's a good step, and again the pictures that have come out from social media this week again looks as if everything's done on the face of things. It's just the kind of interior that's obviously the last few bits and pieces are getting done to that. So again, it's definitely good news going forward, and hopefully by the Hibs game at the end of the month, where the full stands open for everyone to make their way back for a proper a proper atmosphere.
Did you happen to see if the disabled section was going to be open? I didn't notice if that was announced or not for the Dundee game.
No, I didn't see that. But again, I could probably go back and check the announcements from the club, but I don't think on the face of it that um, they had mentioned it. I'm actually just I'll get the website open just now. I'm just wondering if it'll actually say within that.
Well, you have a look at that, because I can move on, and because I want to read this bit out.
Sure.
He
Go
was
ahead.
obviously questioned on James Tavernier and being the captain. So this is what Clement had to say about Tavernier and the captaincy. In moments the team does not perform, the captain is always the first that the fans point to. I had similar moments in Bruges. It is part of being captain. I have to say that he, James Tavernier, is very mature and motivated to get results. It's easy to be the captain in moments when everything is going well. The real captains are the ones who keep moving forward in difficult moments. That is what Tav has been doing, driving forward the team and helping the new guys with integration. And I'll just continue to talk. But, you're back, Bob. But I was going to say, it's all very well. Maybe he is doing the integration with the new guys. I don't necessarily see too much driving the team forward.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Again, I guess he's trying to kind of protect his captain in a way, but and again, I know again another plug that at the start of the week, I know there was a pod we put out regarding the enigma that is James Tavernier, and
That's a great episode. I encourage everyone to go and watch it.
I was going to say definitely. It's difficult, Billy. I mean, personally, he's not had the greatest start. It's not the best when he comes in to pre-season injured. The manager says he's not going to play every game, and yet since the I think the Birmingham game he's not missed an absolute second of any game so far. So kind of goes against what the manager said to begin with. So I'd like to see again, probably everywhere in the pitch. You want to see a bit of rotation when the players that are playing there on a regular basis aren't on form, and again maybe just gives them a bit more of a kick up the backside to get back to the levels that we know we can get to. Despite I know that he's obviously a year older, and he's a couple of years older, and then when he dragged the team to the Europa League final, but for me, I would again. For me, I would think he's better as a squad player. I think we need to start again, as we've touched on at the end of last season. It's the end of a cycle. We need to start bringing freshness to the team, and although again it probably goes against what I was saying about having a settled back line, you need to start. You've brought Hefty in on one side, and he's looked quite good, and you need to start having that rotation on the right side as well, just to see, even just to see what life without the captain would be like. Again, I'm sure if we went on a poor run of games and he wasn't playing, there'd be a clamour for him to go back in the side. So, which is the nature of us as Rangers fans. It's and again, I probably touch on one of the comments in the chat about Hadji, but yeah, for me, I can see Clement's obviously trying to kind of play the diplomat and try and protect the captain, but it's obviously going to be noticed by him and by Tav himself that he knows he needs to come back, and hopefully these 2 weeks of not being away have allowed him to rest, recover, and hopefully bring a fresher performance to the game on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you want to come back on that.
No, I mean, just agree with what you're saying, mate. I'm also kind of seeing if there was anything in the press conference about the manager that was worth bringing up, but there really isn't. It was a pretty standard. Got a little bit of an injury update, and defends his captain, and that's all we really got. Said a little bit about the stadium, which is great, but no, nothing. You don't expect to get anything out of these press conferences, really. Just that it has been such a slow news week, we thought would wait until it happened today, I guess. So there's not a great deal. I mean, Bayrami has come out and spoken to the press as well. I don't know if you want me to move on to anything that he said.
Yeah, why not? Let's go on to the brand new deadline day signing that unfortunately wasn't registered in time for the Old Firm game. But yeah, if you want to kick us off with that.
He starts off by saying that it was a really stressful day, which I guess we seen a video of Jamie Murphy during the week talking about the being at the the last day of a transfer or signing. So I never really considered it being a stressful situation, but you've got to remember this is his job, this is where he's going to live, for the next few years, hopefully. So it is something that you probably should think about when it comes to these players. We're wanting them all in, and a lot of them, I'm assuming, are the ones that don't happen. These guys are left kind of disappointed, the same way as you would be if you lost out in a job that you were going for. So he does mention he goes straight away on international duty. But it was good I think he took part in his first training session today. He said it's a really good dressing room, and he feels really good after having played 2 games in international duty. He says he's a player that likes to score goals and assists. He can play in the left, but his favourite position is a number 10. So I thought that was interesting, that is where at least he thinks he's coming here to play.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's music to the majority of fans' ears, Billy, that he's come out and said, my best position is number 10. I can maybe play out left, but I'm not going to be as effective out there as I would be as an out-and-out number 10. And again, goes back to the point of what we were saying before about having that freshness in the team. I think the fact that he's played the majority of minutes in the last 2 games for Albania and the national scene, would make me think anyway that he's certainly not lacking fitness to go straight into the team on Sunday. I do think it's somebody that we need in the team. I just don't think, obviously the immediate past result at Parkhead showed that Diamandi is probably not going to be best utilised in the 10. I think he'll probably play beside Varane. And again, something we kind of touched on, I think in the group chat as well as in a couple other pods, Billy, that for me, at this moment in time, if Bayrami comes in, you might see more, see the best of Diamandi being allowed to break from deep, kind of like he was when he first came in January, February of at the start of the year, obviously just after the January window. That I don't think he's an out and out 10. I don't think he's got the legs for it. But I think if Bayrami allows the play to flow in the way we hope he does, hopefully Diamandi then starts to build these numbers in the same way that he kind of did when he first came in. So yeah, I'm really excited to see him in the flesh, or through a TV screen on Sunday anyway. But yeah, I think he certainly doesn't lack confidence, considering he's obviously just come out and said, this is where I want to play. This is my position. This is what I've been brought here to do. So yeah, I can't wait to actually see how he performs on Sunday. Hopefully, if he gets the nod.
Yeah, I'll just address a couple of comments in the thread talking about Hadji. Rather than us rehash it all again, mate, we did do a dedicated Hadji pod during the week. It is up on our YouTube channel, so if you'd like to see what a few of our guys thought of or think of the Hadji situation, I mean, there's nothing really much we can add. He doesn't look like he's going to be playing, so what else can you say? We don't know the behind the scenes stuff, but yeah, there is a video on our YouTube page for that. Moving on with by Rami's comments, he mentions that he enjoys playing under pressure. Well, I don't know if he's ever experienced pressure that he's going to feel playing for Rangers. Certainly, if going into that Old Firm game at New Year, he's going to be under a lot of pressure. If if things are going well, even if things are going well, he's going to be under a lot of pressure by then.
Yeah, no, I agree, Billy. I think between now and Christmas, we need to build up a bit of momentum and get the feel good factor back around the club, and hopefully that starts on Sunday against Dundee United. I think that, again, for me personally, it should start and at least get an hour, and then you can bring on somebody like Sir Lawrence, so you want to switch it around and put Dio in the 10. Again, it's given the manager another option to use, which again is what we need. We need that kind of strength and depth. I did joke last night in the group chat about what was going to happen to Tom Lawrence now that Bayrami's come in and that is going to be his position. And I certainly don't think been brought in for the rumoured €3.5-4 million that he has. He's gonna be on the bench for very long if at all. So it'll be an interesting one to see where Tom Lawrence fits into the team after that purchase. So yeah, I think for me it'll be an interesting game on Sunday. But as I said, can just go back to what we're saying, it'll definitely be interesting to see what he can bring. And again, I know he'd mentioned how he likes a long range effort. So again, I more than welcome that in the team, because we really don't do enough of that.
Well, one thing I did miss from the manager's press conference was about Ross McCausland picking up a knock on international duty, but thankfully that one shouldn't be too bad. But we've heard that before, so he's probably going to be out for 6 months. But yeah, one little bit of bad news. I'm trying not to be too negative, but there we go. But not much else in the Bayrami interview, just exactly what you'd expect him to say. As I was saying about the managers, he's looking forward to being here. He thinks he's going to improve under the manager, and we hope that starts on Sunday. I definitely think so. I would play him from the start. He'll have played against teams like Dundee United in his career. It's not going to be a shock. He's not going to be up against Barcelona in the 2000s. So put him in.
Yeah, again, exactly. What game, if not Sunday, do you put him in? It's it's the same with with Casemiro or Casemiro. I'm not sure the pronunciation. I'm sure we'll get told at some point how to
Big Casa.
properly. Big Casa, I know. Good to see him come in hopefully on Sunday to get some minutes as well. Because again, again touching on that, he's here on loan with an option to buy. So I don't think Feyenoord would have let him come to us if they weren't expecting him to get minutes. And when I mean that, I mean significant minutes, not just 10 minutes here or there in the odd game. He's got to be pushing either the centre back pairing or the fullback position. So hopefully he's seen more than he's heard of over the next couple of games.
Well, other bits of news that I'd kind of thought for during the week, mate. The biggest one, or the most interesting one, was the releasing of Desser's goal against Ross County. The VAR, would you call it? Sound. Commentary, whatever.
Yeah.
But I thought it was interesting because you hear in the commentary the referee Doesn't blow his whistle, but shouts he's going to give a foul, he's going to give a foul. I thought that was interesting because he's obviously letting the VAR team know what he thinks so they can get a kind of head start on it. But I don't know, was there anything in the whole process that you found interesting?
I think it's fair play to the SFA for releasing it in the first place, and I know that they're looking to have I don't know if it's a weekly or a regular show to look back on decisions that have been made this season in games. So there's maybe a bit more transparency coming from you I was going to say you and mine, you and mine's collective favourite referee, ex-referee Mr. Clement, as a kind of generalisation of, he's obviously trying to bring refereeing into the 21st century by kind of giving people what they want to a certain degree. Obviously not going to be immediately after the game, but at least if it's reviewed on a weekly basis, or selected ones are looked at on a weekly basis, it'll definitely allow a better understanding from the fans' point of view what's going on, and considering there's at times it can be 3 or 4 minutes before you get an on-field decision, and sometimes it's not correct. So it was interesting as well that I think they said over the last couple of weeks that there was at least 2 decisions that were incorrect, which again, you then start to question and go, well, what decisions, were given as incorrect? There should maybe be a bit more transparency with that. But again, I guess they're only going to spoon feed us what they want. But yeah, it was interesting again, just watching the full process, Billy. It just gives us a better understanding, a better insight into what the referees are looking at and how they go about giving the decision at the end of the day.
We want. I mean, I don't think anyone can expect 100% of the decisions to be right all the time. But when there is, I don't think it's particularly contentious that goal in the first place. But it always seems to be something with one of our games that there's something pulled up. But it's good that when there is contentious decisions that they can come out with us. So fair play to them. I'm not, as you just alluded to, a huge Willie Collum fan. For me, other than the Kevin Clancy display at Parkhead, him ruling Morelos' goal off instead of letting it go to VAR is one of the craziest decisions I've seen in a game. Like, I had no point in rehashing it. But see if he wants to, if he genuinely wants to be transparent and genuinely wants to improve the quality of the referees, and maybe he has recognised that, oh, you know what, none of our referees are being used at international competitions. I'd like to change that. Then good. I don't know what the word. Give him credit. Give him whatever. If that's what he's genuinely wanting to do, forgive me for having a little bit of not really 100% sure if that is the case, but I'm not a big conspiracy guy. I think it was very much with Clement with when the club called for him not to be ever used in a game, one of our games again. I think it was him, if not another referee. I thought that was ridiculous, a ridiculous stance to come out. I do agree with Clement that if you go in thinking referees are genuinely biased, and Clancy. Colin made some interesting comments about on one of the radio shows about referees. This is the peak of their career, to ruin their career or possibly ruin their career because they support one club over another. I agree with him on that. I don't think unless, and again it's demonstrably shown it can happen. The collusion or corruption does happen. I think he's a bit naive to say that this doesn't happen in Scotland because he has he's no idea if it could happen here. It might, but I think on the most part, referees, it's their job. I've got a mate who played professional football, and he supported Rangers, and I was talking to him about could he sign for us and them and whatever, and he said genuinely, if it's my job and they pay me the wage, that's what I would do. And now we as fans might think that's crazy, but this is their job, and it's the same with the referees. They want to get the best matches and get go to the Euros and go to the World Cup. So of course they're going to try and be the best in their job that they can be. There is some failings, and if he's going to work on them, that's fantastic because they're not of the required quality. On the other side of that is we've got all these angles of things that they don't have. They just see things in real time. So getting VAR to work properly and where they get an option to see these, different viewpoints as well can only be for the best. I don't think VAR needs, I think VAR needs to improve, but for me, it is better than not having it there. I know there's a call for to get. I mean, I'm going a bit of a rant with VAR, but there is a bit of a call for to be scrapped. That's ridiculous for me. Yeah, it's not right every time. It hasn't worked in every single case, but for the most part, it's for the best.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree, Billy. I think there are clear and obvious errors that are highlighted with VAR, and it does need to be worked on, evolved, if you want to maybe put it that way. An evolution of VAR, just continuing evolution or education to make sure that we're getting the best out of it, and it is as accurate as it possibly can, so that there is a reduction in any so-called biased decisions or contentious decisions, especially in the bigger games. It's I think probably after last year and some of the contentious decisions that went against us, the one that springs to mind is the SEMA handball incident with Johnston at Parkhead in December, January time. The fact that it took them half an hour to call it as an offside when it wasn't actually given as an offside on the park. Mm-hmm. That one I would have loved to have got his feedback on to understand why it took that length of time to rule on it, and then rule on it that wasn't actually given as a decision on the park. So
it was just strange that it was fed to Sky and not, wasn't put out live at the time, or they obviously felt that they've mucked up, and we need to find a reason that it's not going to matter that we mucked up or we missed a clear handball. See, at the end of the day, that might have been offside, but they never followed the proper protocol for it. So that was the problem for it for me. But I mean, you maybe muck up in your job and you try to mitigate any kind of bad things that can happen to you, but sometimes I guess you just need to go, we've mucked that one up. But it doesn't help that it happened in the biggest game of the country or the league's got. If it happened in a Dundee versus Hibs game, there wouldn't have been the outcry, despite it being just as important for them to fix it. So anyway, it was. I have a Celtic leaning mate who gives me all the examples on his side why they are getting done over by referees. So I've got to say, if it's we're both doing it to each other, there's probably nothing in it.
Yeah, no, exactly. Again, the old adage of they even themselves out over the season. I'm sure there's things that go for both sides and go against both sides. But yeah, I think
I don't remember any of our goals being constantly. Every week there'll been something wrong with one of our goals or something. We get away with a handball in the box that the referee's clearly seen and VAR has said no, that's fine, but it's still a problem.
Yeah. Well, obviously, just need to wait and see how that pans out over the season. If you never know, it might get the programme or the wee clip, whatever it is it's going to be, might get wrapped pretty quickly if there's too many questions on it. But can only wait and see.
To be fair, it must be pretty confident that they're at least trying to do things right. So if they were trying to cover up, I doubt he would come forward and do this show. I think I read that it was monthly that we're going to do this kind of review show, and I guess it would only be the main contentious decisions. I'm not going to go over every small little decision. I suppose it'll be the big game changing ones or big moments in big games.
Yeah, no, it'll be good no matter the frequency, Billy. I think, as you said, it'll give a better insight into the way Scottish referees manage games. Kind of similar to what we've obviously seen on Sky Sports with the Ref Watch from down south, and how ex-referees obviously make their comment on how decisions are made. So yeah, it can only be a positive for the game if they do come out with the kind of bigger contentious decisions rather than just picking the ones that can probably be seen as straightforward. So yeah, definitely interesting to see how that goes moving forward. just to touch back on, I know they mentioned it in the comments, but for the Dundee game, I don't think the disabled section is going to be open for that game. I think it's still going to be closed. But again, there's nothing on the website that kind of pertains to that part of it. They've just said the Copeland front will be open. So if the disabled, if anyone has, knowledge, if they are, going to be using that section moving forward, if you want to reach out and let us know, we can obviously, update in one of the later pods either today or over the weekend, or moving into the Dundee game. But I think other than that, Billy, I maybe just look at a couple of questions. I know our our exalted leader had asked this one. Would you guys start Egan? For me, against Dundee United away from home, I wouldn't have an issue in him starting, just to see what he's like, give him 60 minutes and then bring Dessers on if just to give him a chance and see, let the fans see what he's like. I don't know about yourself, Billy.
I would agree with you. Wouldn't have a problem with him starting. I just think Dessers is kind of on form. I know he didn't score in the Old Firm game, but he has been scoring. I think Clement will probably go with him and then give him the 60 minutes. And once, hopefully, that if things are going well, bring Egeman on after that point. That's probably the most likely scenario for me, that he's going to get maybe 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah,
but I would love him to. I would like to see him just chuck him in, start him.
Yeah, oh God, I mean, we can only imagine, Billy, if he brought Casemiro, started Casemiro, Bayrami, Egeman, Cortez coming back from injury. If he started the game, who else? Who else did they bring in over the summer? Obviously Barron. Yeah, Barron will probably start. I think Proper will probably start centre back. It'll be interesting to see again. Touching on the pod that we had the other day, it'll be interesting to see if Casemiro is used as a centre back or if he is seen more as a right back. Which again, if you want to listen in more detail on that, obviously go and check out the defensive pairing pod that we put up earlier in the week. But for me, as I said on that pod, for me, the starting centre back pairing on Sunday will be Suter and Proper. But if Casemiro looks the part in training, I wouldn't be against putting him on for at least that again. Similar to Egeman, as you said, Billy, probably half an hour, 45 minutes just to getting some game time.
If I can touch on Kenneth's comments here about English, right? Because I keep calling him Clancy. Colin did touch on whether referees should declare who they support, and I believe he mentioned that if they had a season ticket, they would have to give that up. If they've got family members playing for a team, they'd mention that. But in England, okay, there's a few big teams, but it's much more likely in England the referee has more chance of supporting one of various teams. In Scotland, just the population of football supporters. If you to say, "Oh, I support Rangers," well, you're going to rule yourself out of all these other games when there's maybe no need. Maybe you can be completely transparent, completely honest with your decision making. And why should you be held back getting the cup finals or the Old Firm games just because you had an allegiance to a football club? I don't think it's something we can manage. Just purely how far down do you go? Do you go trail through all their social media posts? Do you go and interview their mates from high school to see if they were who they supported? If the referee can do his job properly for me, it doesn't really bother me. It's just there's been a couple of instances where you're suspicious of certain ones, like that seems a strange decision. Maybe it was honestly given, but I don't think it's something that we've got that is a big problem. Bar one, and I mean, and then as I say, that the Celtic fans will tell you that who was it? Bobby Madden was a Rangers fan, or I don't remember him giving us anything that suggested to me that he was a Rangers fan. And there's various ones on either side you'll throw about, but I just don't think there's any. You'll then stop people going into refereeing if that's how fine tooth comb you're going to go through the thing, because it stops you getting to they're going to go to other leagues because they'll get to the top. If they are genuinely good enough, they'll get to the top in other leagues, and but we want the best referees here.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was part of what I think it was a clip from the phone in during the week as well, that that's what Colin was saying. He wants to encourage people into the refereeing profession, or into the refereeing side of the game. To, we're not going to, we shouldn't have to, as you said, go through and scroll through, every single person and vet them and screen them to see what team they support. Again, you want to give, if they're good enough, they should be able to take on the game and be as objective as they can be. But again, I know it would be, for some, it's can only maybe speak from personal experience. I think I was thinking about it during the week. If it was me getting in even to referee a Celtic game against a Hearts or a Kilmarnock, I would maybe be second guessing myself to say, am I really being objective here if there was a decision that was contentious for Celtic and you don't give it, and then people again, social media is so easy to get feedback from, whether you're on it or not, Billy. It was definitely something that I questioned in my mind. And again, even as a Rangers fan on a Rangers pod, if you're taking charge of a Rangers game, you give a decision the other way. That's the exact same feeling. You're like, you're sitting gate, am I being overly critical? Am I, just to show that I'm trying to be unbiased? So yeah,
it's an impossible place for us as fans to sit. Generally that you don't. You probably, I don't know how you become a referee, but I'm imagining you probably have to start early like you do as a football player. I don't think somebody like me can rock up and just all of a sudden qualify as a SPL referee. So we're never going to be in this position to, wonder about that. This is a skill, refereeing is a skill, and you train that for a lot of years before you get into this position of doing a Celtic game or a Rangers game. So yeah, we can't really look at it the same way as they are, but they need to improve. And I say if they can use VAR to help them do that, then all the best. I don't know, the thing comes up a lot of time about being they need to go professional and do it full time. That there's something in that, because if you're at your job all day and then you got to go and referee a game at night, how mentally focused on that are you going to be? If you, a lot of these guys are lawyers and accountants and mentally draining jobs. It's not like I don't know what a job would be. I can't even think of a job that wouldn't require a lot of mental, because everything involves you doing something either physically or mentally. So these guys probably should be focusing on learning and watching and observing games in a kind of classroom setting, going out and doing the way that we'll do. We'll practice crosses, we'll practice free kicks, or they can practice this kind of thing. And that, so don't know how it works, but hopefully that something like that occurs in the future. They get paid a lot of money as it is, and I know a lot of them would give up. Mattress tester. I'm quite good at that. I don't. Maybe the money isn't there for it at the moment. That's maybe somewhere that if Willie Collum is looking at it, it could be something that he does implement at some point. But to be honest, I'm just more amazed that out of a press conference we've managed to make this last 48 minutes.
I know.
I was scrolling through the news of the last week, and there's bits about the chief exec and stuff, but it's worth talking about because we've not got any definites on it, so we don't know anything yet.
Yeah, again, there's been nothing. There's obviously been rumours. There's been obviously chat here and there about people dropping out and people now becoming the front runner. But until we get a definitive answer or update from the club, I don't see the point in us kind of touching on it. I think,
the other stuff, it was all just international break nonsense. I hate the international break. I wish it was just, one midweek game and then they're back.
Yeah.
But this 2 weeks thing is just, and the Nations League, whatever it's called, it's just not really caught my attention. Just can't wait for the weekend to roll around.
No, same, Billy. I'm not a massive, fan. I don't tend to.
I do watch the Scotland games. I do watch them when they're on TV, obviously. But when you've not really got, it's not really exciting. And then it's not even to do with there's no Rangers players playing. It's not even that. It's just not really. It's rubbish.
Yeah, it's too early in the season to have a break. I think that's one of the things that kind of gets me.
We're not quite pulling our hair out to the degree, and it's obviously awful coming off the back of an Old Firm defeat to have 2 weeks to stew on it.
No, exactly. I think it definitely doesn't help when you come off the back of a negative result. You've got 2 weeks to fester and see everything that has gone on over the last 2 weeks in social media and in fan media. To the reactions have been varying, which have been sometimes very, very difficult to watch. But when again, like myself, when I'm not really a massive follower of the international footballs, but even with Scotland, just you kind of look at it and go, it's the only thing that's kind of there to watch in the background from a kind of football point of view. So yeah, I kind of to put myself through the torture of going back through some of these post-match reactions and other pods. So looking forward to the weekend and a bit of a freshness going into next week. But I think with that we'll call it a day, Billy. Unless there's anything else you want to touch on.
No, nothing that's come to mind. Thankfully, people in the comments have given us a few other ideas to talk about as well. So thank you very much for the people watching and commenting.
I agreed. I think we're very, very grateful for the 280 odd folk that are tuned in at the moment. Hopefully, it's been an entertaining 50 minutes by myself and Billy, off the back of a very brief summary of the press conferences. But yeah, looking forward to the weekend. You want to give any final words, Billy, before we close things out?
Yeah, Doug, The Evil Has Landed, Queens of the Stone Age. That's my recommendation for the week. That should have been the ending track on that album. I don't know why they put another song on after it.
I'm not even going to
try
try and
bewildered by that comment. Doug wanted a song,
right.
and that's what I've been passing this morning.
I see that. I couldn't even tell you, Doug. When he's back up my backside, definitely something positive and uplifting. So nothing comes to mind right at the moment. But yeah,
I'll pick one for you. "Mountain at My Gates" by Foals. I listened to that this morning as well. That was
okay.
We're not a music show. We shouldn't be expected to know about this kind of stuff.
I know, but yeah, let's wrap it up there, Billy. Again, and thank you very much for coming on today and giving us the updates from the press conference. Much appreciated. Thanks to everyone in the comments and that's been viewing, watching along. Hopefully you've got something out of it today. We've got pods later tonight and over the weekend, the match preview for Dundee United, and then we've got the post-match. I think it's on Sunday night, and then obviously into next week we've got a fresh set of pods and discussions to be had. So please keep tuning in, like, share and subscribe. We're almost at 2,000 subscribers, so any subscriptions are very warmly welcomed. But I think if there's nothing else from yourself, Billy, we'll close things out, and we shall end as we always do with every night is a Rangers Journal night. Thanks, everyone.